What's up, everybody? GeauxBurns with another article from the new Bordeaux Tribune, courtesy of the official Mafia Twitter and Facebook pages. And if you want to check out more sections from the new Bordeaux Tribune, or postcards, the brochures, the Lincoln Clay case files, as well as trailer breakdowns for Mafia 3, all that can be found in my official Mafia playlist. So today is July 4th in the States, 2016, but we're going to go back in time to July 4th in 1968 in Vietnam from this article. And this is going to be a very, very touchy subject here because obviously I'm a history buff, as some of you may know, and the Vietnam War was a very controversial war that we fought. And a lot of people died on both sides in that war, including my dad's oldest brother, who I never got to know, obviously. He was just a kid at the time, late teens, early 20s. You know, he died in that war, and so many others. Like I mentioned, it wasn't just, on our side. It was on both sides that were killed in this pointless war. So, yeah, I'm going to be very serious when we go over this article. So, what's interesting about this one is the fact that, first off, it doesn't necessarily belong to the other two volumes that we've gone over so far regarding the new Bordeaux Tribune. The first volume was this one, volume 7389, which was dated Monday, June 24th, 1968. And then the latest one that we started going over is volume 8295, which is dated Friday, September 13th. So neither one of these articles involves this. This is a volume somewhere in between those two volumes, obviously. The 4th of July in Vietnam by Jerry Buddy Bordlin. Now, obviously, both articles are written by him. And first off, here's an image of the American flag flying probably over New Bordeaux, I'm guessing. An image of Vietnam, probably. And, of course, the advertiser, Big Break Cigarettes. It's already the 4th of July here in Vietnam. When I left Saigon this morning, it was 90 degrees and the crushing humidity hadn't set in quite yet. Further north, outside the city at a base I'm not allowed to disclose. There's quite a bit of reverence today that hangs in the air. 40 miles south of our position, a city bustles. It's just another Thursday to the civilians. But for these men, they stand on guard. No barbecues or bottles or bon ton for them. No, sir. That's why I brought some with me to share. Yes, I may be the editor of the new Bordeaux Tribune, but we worked with the armed forces this year to bring you a story about one of our local boys that's been making good overseas. It was supposed to be a puff piece about our boys doing our country proud, half a world away. What I wound up with was something much more. Frank is a good old boy. He hung out in the wrong parts of New Bordeaux for just long enough, then found himself on a transport plane to Vietnam. Like many others all around us in the mess hall right now, he answered the call. He seems relaxed, but it's not until we start talking about his few friends, his brothers in arms, that he momentarily lights up. Quote unquote, when I first signed up, I went to boot with a couple local boys that had hard luck stories like mine. There were these two, Link, which is probably Lincoln, and Q. I don't know who Q is, obviously. Maybe we'll find out in Mafia 3. And we were thick as thieves. Man, the trouble we've gotten into in Saigon and further, the rest of it kind of tatters off a little bit there. Okay, so let's go to the next article. Obviously, Frank knows Lincoln. So that's established now. He knows Lincoln, and Q is, the third guy in this trifecta between Frank, Lincoln, and Q. All right, so the other article. I witnessed 10 people hurling curses at a man on the street the other day, spitting cries of "baby killer." Who was this man? Some criminal? No, he was a soldier returning home from Vietnam. The war rages on. You read the front pages of this paper every day with the casualty reports in Vietnam. As painful as it is to read, it's worse for us to write. It's worse still for those that have survived its cruelty. They return happy to see their family, happy to return to the life they left behind, heck, happy to grab a po' boy and ice-cold bon ton down in the French ward. But it's never that simple, is it? I've seen a growing resentment on our streets and anger at the war and distrust of authority. As a newspaper, our job is to question everything and print the truth. If there's one thing I've learned in my time serving as the editor-in-chief of the New Bordeaux Tribune, it's that there's always more to the story. The war is never over for some, not for those who serve. These are men that found new brothers they would live and die for, squatting in the trenches next to them. Just imagine it, watching your new family get wiped out right in front of you. You come home to forget all those horrible things you've seen. Then you get treated like a war criminal for the fact you survived. I ran into one such man in a bar the other night. He didn't give me his name and didn't want to talk about his experience overseas, but he did know what he wanted to do now that he was back. Quote unquote, I just want to say goodbye to some old friends, drink some beers, and then drive away. Quote unquote. In a time not so long ago, he could have been a fearless warrior. Now he just quietly wants to move on with his life. Shouldn't we have the decency to respect that after all he's gone through? I feel that we not only owe it to ourselves to act more humanely in public, but we also need to think of these soldiers that have returned. They need to know that their friends didn't die for nothing. Okay, so it took me a while to read this article. I screwed up, I restarted, I edited it down the best I could, because this is not like the rest of the stuff that I've been covering. I mean, yeah, 1968 was a serious time in our country. You had race issues, civil rights issues, the Vietnam, but a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about is obviously, works of fiction, set in Mafia III. The Vietnam War was very serious, and a lot of people on both sides, as I mentioned, were killed in that pointless war, including my dad's oldest brother. So it's a very serious subject, and that's the reason why I handled it a little bit differently than in some of the other stuff that I cover regarding Mafia III. But anyways, it just shows how serious the writers are taking the issue of racism, civil rights, the counterculture revolution that went on in 1968, along with Vietnam, when it comes to Mafia III. So tip of the hat to everybody at Hangar 13, and of course 2K and Take-Two, which in my opinion is going to add more realism to Mafia 3 when it comes out October 7th to Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC.